Hello everybody, welcome back to Modern Meta Matchups. And on this week's episode, we have a special guest joining us.
Hi, my name's Joe. I've been playing Magic for 8 years and casting blue spells the entire time.
And for our matchup today, I will be piloting Amulet Titan, and what are you going to be playing today?
I'm going to be playing Esper Control.
So, a couple of decks that have been more or less around in the format for a long time. There's obviously been changes that have been made along the way to each of these decks, but Control's been around forever. Amulet Titan's been around for pretty much forever as well. So
yeah, Esper Control has been a really big player in the metagame recently, making up a large portion of the top tier decks. Obviously, it's a little bit of a departure from the standard blue-white control variant, but basically you just get more removal spells.
Alright, and if you like our videos, be sure to give us a subscription, hit that like button, leave us a comment, let us know how we're doing. We love to hear from you. And without any further ado, we'll go ahead and get over to the gameplay.
Absolutely.
Alright, welcome to the gameplay. Joe has won the die roll off camera, so I believe he'll be taking the play.
Yeah, I'll be going first.
Go ahead and take a look at these opening hands and see what we got.
I'm going to keep my hand.
I think I'll give mine a shot as well.
Okay. Give me a hand, please.
Alright, so going into game one, might not be the best hand I've ever seen, but I have some lands, I have some amulets, and I have a creature. So what I have here is a Valakut, a Slayer Stronghold, a Forest, and a Castle Garenbrig are the lands that I have here. I don't have any of my lands that produce 2 mana. I do have 2 amulets though, so if I do end up getting them both down, my lands will end up kind of tapping for 2 the turn that I play them. And then the creature that I have is a Dryad of the Elysian Grove, which will allow me to make whatever color of mana I need, as well as turn on this Valakut in my hand if I start getting more lands, because all my lands will be mountains, so I'll be able to start getting that 3 damage.
Alright, so for game one, I have a pretty good opening hand. It's got a couple lands and a couple spells that are pretty good in this matchup overall. My opening hand consists of Creeping Tar Pit, a Flooded Strand, a Fatal Push, 2 Snapcaster Mages, an Archmage's Charm, and a Cryptic Command. Alright, so I will play a tapped Creeping Tar Pit and pass the turn.
Sure thing. Draw. And I'll lead things off with a Slayer Stronghold.
Yep.
I'll pay 1 mana for an Amulet of Vigor.
Resolves.
And after that, I'll pass the turn to you.
Alright. Draw. I will play a Flooded Strand and pass the turn.
Sure thing. Draw. Pay 1 mana. I'll attempt to cast another Amulet of Vigor.
I am going to fetch for a untapped Hallowed Fountain.
Sure thing.
And I will then pay 2 mana to cast Mana Leak targeting your amulet.
I cannot pay 3, so the amulet will go to the graveyard, as it never resolves. Let's see. I will then play a Forest as the land for turn, and I'll pass.
I will untap and draw. I will play a Drowned Catacomb. This is interesting. I will pass the turn.
Alright. Untap and draw. I'll start things off with, I'll pay 2 mana and cast Explore.
That resolves.
Alright. Draw a card, and I have an additional land available to me this turn. I'll play a Forest. And Castle Garenbrig. And then I'll pass the turn.
In your end step, I'm going to cast Archmage's Charm to draw 2 cards.
Sure thing.
Targeting myself. Untap.
Yep.
Draw. I will play a Sunken Ruins. And pass the turn.
I'll play Valakut. The Molten Pinnacle is land for turn.
Mm-hmm.
Amulet trigger, untap it.
Yep.
I'll then pay 6 mana through the Castle Garenbrig.
Mm-hmm.
I'll use 3 to cast Tireless Striker.
Resolves.
And another 3 to cast Dryad of the Elysian Grove.
Cards in hand.
2.
Dryad on the stack.
Yep.
I'll filter for blue.
Yep.
And I'll cast Cryptic Command. The modes are going to be counter, target spell, and I draw a card.
Sure thing. So Dryad gets countered and you get to draw a card.
Correct.
After that, I will pass the turn.
Alright. I will untap. And draw. I will play and immediately fetch with Flooded Strand.
Sure. Grabbing
A island. And then on my main phase still,
Yep.
I will Fatal Push with Revolt, targeting your Tireless Tracker.
Tireless Tracker dies.
Alright. I will then pass the turn.
How many cards you got in your hand?
5.
5 cards.
5 amazing cards.
It's a lot of cards.
And they're amazing. So that like really adds up.
I'll just pay 6 mana again through the Castle Garenbrig and attempt to cast Primeval Titan.
I will filter for double blue.
Yep.
And play Snapcaster Mage.
You got it.
Snapcaster Mage, upon resolution, has a trigger. I'll target Mana Leak, and then I will cast Mana Leak targeting Primeval Titan.
Yep, I can't pay 3, so Primetime will get countered. I will then play Vesuva as a copy of Hollowed Fountain, and it'll untap.
Okay.
Good.
Untap. Draw. Cards in hand.
1.
I will play Hallowed Fountain untapped.
Yep.
Move to combat.
Yep.
Attack for 2.
I take 2.
And I will pass the turn.
Alright. Untap. Draw. I'll play Cavern of Souls on naming Giant when it enters the battlefield.
Okay.
And after that, I will pass the turn.
In your end step, I will play Snapcaster Mage.
Yep.
Snapcaster Mage is going to target my Archmage's Charm.
Sure.
And I will use it to target myself to draw 2 cards.
You got it.
Also in your end step, I will tap for a blue and cast Opt.
Yep.
I will scry the top card to the bottom and draw a card.
You got it.
Untap. Draw for turn.
Mm-hmm.
Combat.
Yep.
Attack for 4.
I take 4.
And I will play a tapped Godless Shrine and pass the turn.
Sure thing. I'll draw. I'll play Colony Garden as land for turn.
Mm-hmm.
I got a plant token.
Yep.
I will then pay a red with the Valakut and a white with my Vesuva that's copying the Hollowed Fountain
Okay.
to give it +2/+0 Vigilance and Haste.
In response, I will cast Fatal Push, targeting your plant.
Yeah, my plant dies. After that, I'll pass the turn back to you.
In your end step, I'll tap 3 blue to Archmage's Charm, targeting myself to draw 2 cards.
Sure thing.
I will also cast another Opt.
Okay.
And I will draw that card.
You got it.
Untap.
I think I'm going to need to find a Titan very soon.
Yeah. Draw for turn.
Yep.
I will play a Swamp as land for turn.
You got it.
I will then activate my Creeping Tar Pit.
Okay.
Like so. And I will attack for 7.
I take 7.
I will then pass the turn.
Alright. Untap. And I will pay 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yep.
For prime time. Using Cavern of Souls. Some of that mana.
Prime time will resolve.
Yep.
Trigger on the stack.
Sure.
I will pay 2 mana to cast Vanishing Verse, targeting Primeval Titan.
Okay. It will get exiled.
Okay.
Primetime trigger will resolve and I'll get 2 lands out of my deck.
Okay.
Really? You had the mana leak for the first one, which I understand it's gonna happen. You have it. You have your answer. But now I have my Cavern of Souls and it's uncounterable, and you have Vanishing Verse for me. You're gonna exile my other Primeval Titan. I need these. I don't think I'm gonna be able to come back from this probably. That I'm gonna grab with that Primeval Titan trigger are Ghost Quarter and a Radiant Fountain because I need to try to survive here. Okay. So Radiant Fountain will give me 2 life, put me back up to 9. It also untaps, and Ghost Quarter will untap because of the amulet as well.
Yep.
I will then play land for turn as my Sunhome, Fortress of the Legion.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, I will pass the turn to you.
So I'm gonna play a Ambush Viper here.
Yep.
I have to target something. I'll target Vanishing Verse, but I'm not gonna cast it.
Okay.
Untap. Alright, so Austin was at 7, which means my 2 Snapcasters in play is a 2-turn clock. However, because he got the Radiant Fountain, he went up to 9. I felt like I had the game pretty well tied up with the cards in my hand, so I decided to play the Snapcaster early to make it a 2-turn clock instead of a 3-turn clock. Well, I'll make you do it. Yeah. I'll activate Creeping Tar Pit.
You got it.
I'll go to combat?
Yep.
Attacks.
Yep. And before damage, I will sacrifice my Ghost Quarter to destroy your Creeping Tar Pit.
Okay. I will search for a basic island.
Sure.
Alright, so you take the 6?
Yep, I'm taking 6 down to 3.
Alright, and it's going to be your turn.
Right. I'll untap and draw. I don't think that's going to save me. I'll play Sakura Tribe Scout.
That resolves.
Okay. I'm going to pay a red and a white and tap my Slayer's Stronghold to give it +2/+0 Vigilance and Haste.
Yep.
I'll attack for 3.
I will play Archmage's Charm. The mode is going to gain control of a non-land permanent for mana cost 1.
I will pass the turn and immediately die.
Yep. Untap. Draw. Go to combat. Attacks.
Yep. I die.
Good game.
Alright, so for the sideboard, I'm bringing in 3 Tireless Trackers as well as a Cavern of Souls. The Tireless Trackers are pretty good in control matchups just because if I'm able to resolve one, I can kind of accrue value and draw some cards, which can help me out later in the game. And as far as what I'm taking out, it's just kind of a lot of random one-of cards, except for the Explorer. The Azusa is a little bit less necessary here. I don't need to get the lands in play as much. It's going to be a longer game anyway, so I'm not anticipating trying to get in for a quick finish. Colony Garden is fine, but I don't really need the blocker. It's not really going to do much in this game. Radiant Fountain, I don't really need the life. I'm either going to lose the game, kind of like in game 1, where I just lose no matter what, or I'm going to win. And then the Explorer is kind of like a good card, but I just wanted to make sure I got all of these cards in. I didn't really know what else to cut here, so Explorer is a little bit slower. It's still a good card, but all it does is kind of replace itself.
For my sideboarding, obviously we're changing a lot of cards, but that's kind of the whole point about the Esper Control deck in Modern. Is a lot of the cards are really flexible, and a lot of your sideboard slots are good cards in multiple matchups, which really allows this deck to be really efficient, even in some of its more challenging matchups. So the first card we're bringing in is Field of Ruin. Obviously, our opponent is playing a land strategy, so land destruction is good. Vanishing Verse hits pretty much every permanent in their deck that matters, or non-land permanent, I should say, other than Amulet. So it's a really good removal spell. To make up for the fact that we don't have a lot of great ways to deal with Amulet, Fracture can come in. However, this card can also destroy Dryad of the Elysian Grove, so it's pretty flexible once again. Eliminate's just better than a Fatal Push in this matchup. All of the cards that we really care about are 3 mana, so we constantly have to have Revolt, or Fatal Push doesn't really do anything. Aether Gust is obviously just a really good card in this matchup, hits every card that we care about, and Monastery Mentor allows us to apply a lot of pressure and end the game quickly before our opponent has the opportunity to get Cavern of Souls and start chaining Titans into one another. Some of the cards we're cutting are Fatal Pushes. Once again, our removal spells that we're bringing in are just better versions of the card. Spell Snare basically has no targets in this matchup. It's just the Explorers. Snapcaster Mage, while being an okay card, if our opponent ever just plays with Jukabog, it feels a little janky, so that's why we're cutting the 4th one. We're leaving 1 Force of Negation in and cutting 1. Really the only card this hits is Summoner's Pact, which is key to hit it when we need to, but it's kind of useless other than that. And Kaya's Guile, while being an okay card in this matchup in general, game 1, once again, it's basically just a removal spell for Titan, of which we're bringing in several versions.
We'll get into game 2 here. Alright, going into game 2, I will be on the play.
Sounds good.
We'll take a look at this first opening hand here. I think I can give this a shot.
I'm going to mulligan.
Alright, so going into game 2, I don't have the best hand I've ever seen, but I can work with it. I got 2 Turn Timber Symbiosises as pseudo lands. They're the spell lands, so I can pay 3 life to have them come into play untapped if I need. I have a Vesuva, which can kind of copy any of these other lands that I have. I have a Simic Growth Chamber, so I have one of my dual lands that tap for 2 mana, so like my soul land. I have a Castle Garenbreg, which can allow me to cast this Primeval Titan in my hand a turn early if needed, maybe. And then I have a Tireless Tracker, which can help me maybe accrue some value with these other lands and kind of make some of these clues and help me draw cards later on.
Okay, I'm going to start my mulligan to 6 here. That's 5, 6, 7. Okay, this hand's a lot better. I'm going to keep, and I'm going to put this card on the bottom of my library. Alright, so game 2, I mulled to 6. My initial 7 was pretty good, however, I was a little light on lands, so I didn't feel comfortable keeping it. This hand, which consists of Mystic Gate, Castle Vantress, Polluted Delta, Archmage's Charm, Op, and Esper Charm, is obviously much more well-rounded than a hand that was missing a couple lands. I did have a 7th card, obviously, because this is a mulligan, and it was a basic plains, and I put it on the bottom.
Alright, I'm going to go ahead and start things out with a tapped Castle Garenbreg.
Okay. I will draw, and I will play a Polluted Delta and pass the turn.
Untap, draw. I will play Simic Growth Chamber, bouncing my Castle Garenbreg back.
Okay.
So you go.
I'm going to fetch and shock for an untapped Watergrave.
Okay.
Alright, and with my untapped Watergrave, I'm going to cast Opt.
Sure.
I'll put that on bottom. And draw. Untap. Draw for turn. I will play a Mystic Gate.
Yep.
And pass the turn.
Untap and draw. I'll go ahead and lead things off with attempting to cast Explore.
I will cast a Mana Leak,
Sure.
targeting your Explore.
I can't pay 3. I will then play a tapped Castle Garenbrig and pass the turn.
Untap. Draw. I will play a Castle Vantress and pass the turn back.
Draw. I'll start things off by paying 3 mana to cast Tireless Tracker.
I will cast Archmage's Charm, filtering for double blue, and I'm going to counter Tireless Tracker.
Sounds good. Tireless Tracker will not resolve. I will then play another Castle Garenbrig.
Okay.
Pass the turn.
Untap. Draw. I will play a Polluted Delta.
Yep.
And pass the turn.
Untap and draw. Start off by paying 3 mana, attempt to cast Tireless Tracker.
I will fetch with my Polluted Delta to get a untapped Watery Grave. With my 4 mana, I will cast Snapcaster Mage.
Yep.
Snapcaster Mage will target Mana Leak,
Sure.
and I will then cast Mana Leak targeting the Tireless Tracker.
I can't pay 3, so Tireless Tracker will not resolve.
Okay.
Second main, or after that, I guess, not really my second main, but I will pay 3 life to have Turn Timber, Serpentine Wood come into play untapped.
Okay.
I'll then pay 2 mana and attempt to cast another Explore.
That resolves.
I draw a card. I can play an additional land this turn. I'll play Vesuva.
Okay.
I'll have it come in as a copy of Simic Growth Chamber.
Okay.
And I will bounce the Turn Timber Symbiosis on the front back to my hand.
Yep.
After that, I'll pass the turn to you.
Untap. Draw. I'll go to combat.
Yep.
Attack for 2.
I take 2.
Second main phase. I will play a Mystic Gate.
Yep.
And pass the turn.
How many cards you got? 3?
3. You have 4.
Yep, 5 now.
Okay.
I'll pay 1 mana
Mm-hmm.
and attempt to cast Amulet of Vigor.
That is going to resolve.
After that, I'll pay 4 mana to activate my Castle Garenbrig to make 6 mana. And attempt to cast Primeval Titan.
I will double filter, so I have 4 blue floating.
Yep.
And I will cast Cryptic Command. The
Okay.
modes are going to be counter Primeval Titan and
Yep.
bounce Snapcaster Mage.
Okay. Primeval Titan gets countered. I will then play Teleria West is land for turn.
Okay.
And it'll untap. Go ahead.
I will untap and draw.
Yep.
2 cards in hand.
2 cards.
I will filter for blue-white.
Yep.
Cast Esper Charm.
Right.
Targeting Austin to make him discard 2 cards.
I discard 2 Turn Timber Symbioses.
I will then play a Flooded Strand as my land for the turn.
Yep.
And pass.
Alright, I will play Boros Garrison as land for turn.
Okay.
Because of Amulet of Vigor, it will untap.
Mm-hmm.
I will return Teleria West to my hand.
Yep.
So I just top decked a Boros Garrison, which is basically the same as top decking a Titan here. Pretty good with that Teleria West that I was able to get out. I will then pay blue, green. I'll leave a green floating to transmute Teleria West.
Okay.
I'm going to have that Teleria West turn into a Summoner's Pact.
Okay.
Alright, so Teleria West is now a Summoner's Pact. I will then cast Summoner's Pact.
That resolves.
Alright, and obviously I'm going to go grab Primeval Titan.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, and because I still have that green floating off of my initial tap, I will pay 4 mana, including 2 green, to activate this Castle Garenbrig to attempt to cast Primeval Titan.
That is going to resolve.
Right. Trigger. Alright, so Primeval Titan will bring in Cavern of Souls and Bojuka Bog. They will untap because of the Amulet of Vigor. And the triggers for Bojuka Bog, I'm going to target you. And Cavern of Souls, when it enters, I'm going to name Giant.
Okay. With the Bojuka Bog trigger on the stack, I'm going to fetch.
Sure.
For a island. So after I fetch, with the trigger still on the stack, I'm going to cast Snapcaster Mage.
Yep.
And Snapcaster Mage is going to allow me to cast Opt for my graveyard.
You got it.
I'll put that on the bottom. Draw a card.
Alright.
So my entire graveyard then gets exiled. Yes.
And it's untapped as well as my Cavern of Souls. And after that, I don't really have anything else to do this turn. So I'll just pass.
Alright, so I need to get like a little lucky here, but not like super lucky, just like a little bit. So in my first main phase, I'm going to tap for 3 blue and cast Archmage's Charm, allowing myself to draw 2 cards.
You got it.
I will then play a tapped Godless Shrine.
Okay.
And pass the turn.
Right. So on my upkeep, I do have a Summoner's Pact trigger that I should probably pay. If I don't, I lose the game. So yeah. I'll pay green, blue, blue.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of like not paying there.
And then I will go to my draw.
Okay.
I will start things off by going to combat.
Okay.
Attack for 6.
Okay.
Trigger.
With the search triggers on the stack.
Sure.
I'll cast Aether Gust.
Yep.
Targeting your Primeval Titan.
Okay. So I will put it on the bottom.
Okay.
Alright, so the 2 lands that I'm grabbing off of that Primeval Titan trigger are Teleria West and Simic Growth Chamber. When they enter, I will untap them because of the amulet. Simic Growth Chamber has another trigger to return a land. I will return Teleria West after floating 1 blue.
Mm-hmm. Deja Vu.
I will then tap this for a green and a blue, which will then allow me to transmute my Teleria West again. I will be finding another Summoner's Pact and immediately casting it.
Alright, so things are looking okay for me. Austin has a resolved Primeval Titan that he's now attacking with. And I have an Aether Gust in my hand. I decided to make him shuffle back into his library with the attack trigger on the stack. However, it doesn't quite work out as planned. He gets a bounce land and a Teleria West, which allows him to retransmute later that turn for another Primeval Titan. So I'm a little bit out of luck. I was hoping that he probably wouldn't see that line. He also had a Cavern of Souls in place, so it was like a little rough because I couldn't just like put the Titan back on top and then counter it on the way back down. It ended up being like a really interesting interaction that probably wasn't thought all the way through, but ended up probably being the right play anyways.
Alright, so the Summoner's Pact, I cast. Any response?
No, that resolves.
Okay. It finds me a Primeval Titan, which we already set aside when we were searching for the Summoner's Pact. I will cast the Primeval Titan by paying the required mana.
Yep.
Guess I have to tap everything to get the right colors. So Primeval Titan.
That resolves.
Alright, so the 2 lands that we're getting are Slayer Stronghold and Gruul Turf. They will both untap due to the amulet, and Gruul Turf will return a land to my hand. And I will return a Boros Garrison. I'll then tap my Gruul Turf for 1 green mana. Cast Sakura Tribe Scout. I have a red floating. I will play my land for turn as Boros Garrison. It untaps due to the amulet trigger. I'll bounce Vesuva to my hand.
Okay.
And I will use the white to tap my Slayer Stronghold to give my Sakura Tribuilder haste.
Yep.
So that I can put a land into play. I'll have Vesuva enter as a copy of Bojuka Bog, and I will exile your graveyard again.
Okay.
And then I'll pass the turn.
So, in my upkeep, I'm pretty sure I have to scry, because I don't like dying. So, I'm going to tap these 4 lands to activate my Castle Fantress ability that lets me scry 2.
Yep.
Both these cards are good, but unfortunately, they don't answer what my opponent has going on. So now I will draw for turn and hope it's a good one. Well, that card is a good one, but it doesn't do enough. So Austin can just give his creature double strike and kill me next turn. So, as I don't have an answer, I'm just going to concede, and we can go to game 3.
Alright, go to game 3. Okay, into game 3, I'm guessing you'll be on the play again?
Yeah, absolutely. Alright, I will keep my hand.
I'll keep as well. Alright, so going into game 3, I think this is probably the best hand that I've had so far. We'll see if it lines up well against Joe here. I've got a Cavern of Souls, which obviously is amazing here. It makes it so that my stuff won't get countered. And I have a couple other lands here. I have a Gruul Turf and a Simic Growth Chamber. But one of the reasons I'm really happy about this Cavern of Souls here is I have a Sakura Tribe Scout, which one of its creature types is a Scout. And to go along with that, I also have a Tireless Tracker, which also happens to be a Scout. So I can name Scout early on with this Cavern to make sure none of my early plays get countered. And then I can use my bounce lands to return that Cavern later on so that I can replay it and maybe name Giant, which goes well with the last card in my hand, which is a Primeval Titan.
So game 3, I see a pretty good initial 7. It's 2 Mystic Gates, a Flooded Strand, a Castle Vantress, Archmage's Charm, Vanishing Verse, and Eliminate. These are some really good mix of spells and lands that are going to be able to help me throughout the game. Alright, I'm going to start us off with a Flooded Strand, and I'll pass the turn.
I will draw. I'm going to play a Cavern of Souls, and I am going to name Scout.
Okay.
I'll tap for a green and play Sakura Tribe Scout.
Okay.
I'll then pass the turn.
In your end step, I will fetch with Flooded Strand for a tapped Water Grave.
Sure.
I will untap, draw, Mystic Gate, and I'll cast Eliminate, killing your Sakura Tribe Scout.
Sure.
Aha, got him. He will scout no more. And I will pass the turn.
Alright. Untap. And I will start things off by playing another Sakura Tribe Scout.
He will scout, sure.
And I will play a Castle Garen Break tapped.
Okay.
Pass the turn.
Untap, draw. I will play a Castle Vantress.
Sure.
And pass the turn.
Untap and draw. I will pay 1 mana and attempt to cast Amulet of Vigor.
I will pay 2 mana and cast Mana Leak targeting Amulet.
I cannot pay, so it will be countered. I will then pay 1 mana and cast another Sakura Tribe Scout.
That's some synergy.
I will play my land for the turn as Simic Growth Chamber.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll bring back Castle Garenbrig.
Okay.
I will then pass the turn.
Untap, draw, and I will play Mystic Gate and pass the turn.
Your end step, I will tap my Sakura Tribe Scout to put Castle Garenbrig into play.
Okay.
I'll untap and draw. I'll pay 3 mana,
Okay.
one of it being Scout mana, and cast Tireless Tracker.
Sure.
I will play land for the turn as Castle Garenbrig.
Okay.
Trigger.
Yep.
I get a clue token.
Get a clue.
I will then pass the turn. Resolving this Tireless Tracker here is going to be great. I already get to get one clue automatically, and as this game continues to progress, as long as it doesn't get removed, I'm going to keep making clues and hopefully draw out of any situation that I might get myself into.
Okay. In your end step, I will cast Archmage's Charm, targeting myself to draw 2 cards.
Sure.
Untap.
Yep.
Draw. I'll play Flooded Strand.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna fetch with Flooded Strand for a untapped Hallowed Fountain.
Okay.
Okay, and I will tap a white and a black.
Yep.
To cast Vanishing Verse, targeting Tireless Tracker.
With that on the stack, I'm going to activate my Sakura Tribe Scout and put a land into play.
Okay.
I'll put a Gruul Turf into play.
Okay.
And I'll return a Simic Growth Chamber.
Okay.
I'll then tap my Sakura Tribe Scout.
Yep.
To put Simic Growth Chamber into play.
Okay.
I'll return Cavern of Souls.
Yep.
And I get 2 more clues out of that.
Mm-hmm.
So I have 3 total. And then Vanishing First will resolve.
And
Tracker gets exiled.
2 cards in hand.
2 cards.
One of them is Cavern of Souls, the other is Unknown.
Correct.
Okay, pass the turn.
Untap. Draw.
Mm-hmm.
I will play Cavern of Souls.
Mm-hmm.
I will name Giant.
Okay.
I will then pay 6 mana.
Okay.
And I will cast Amulet Titan.
That resolves.
Trigger.
Yep.
Alright, so the 2 lands that I'm grabbing at the prime time are Bajuka Bog and Teleria West. When the bog enters, I will target you.
Okay, my graveyard is exiled.
Alright, and then I will go to combat.
Yeah.
And attack for 2.
Ouch.
So go.
I will cast Archmage's Charm.
Yep.
For me to draw 2 cards.
Sure thing.
Untap. Draw for turn. I will cast Opt.
You got it.
I will put that on bottom.
Sure.
And draw a card. And I will pass the turn.
Alright. I will untap and go to my draw step.
Mm-hmm.
I will tap for 3 mana.
Okay.
And attempt to cast Tireless Tracker.
Alright. With Tireless Tracker on the stack, I'm going to pay 4 mana and cast Cryptic Command.
Yep.
The modes are going to be counter the Tireless Tracker and tap all creatures my opponent's control.
I will respond by tapping the Sakura Tri-Builder
Okay.
to put this Castle Garenbrig into play.
Okay.
And the Tireless Tracker will be countered, and the rest of my board will get tapped. Before the end of the turn, I'm going to start off by paying 2 mana with Gruul Turf. I'll sacrifice 1 clue to draw a card.
Still in your first main phase, right?
Yep.
Okay.
I'll pay 1 mana and play an Amulet of Vigor.
Okay.
And then I will pass the turn.
Untap. Draw. I will pass the turn.
At the end of your turn, I'll pay 2 mana
Okay.
to sacrifice an additional clue to draw a card.
Yeah.
Go to my turn.
Mm-hmm.
Untap. And draw.
Mm-hmm.
I will start off by playing a land for the turn.
Okay.
Vesuva.
Okay.
I will have it enter as a copy of Bajuka Bog.
Okay.
Target you.
Yep.
It untaps due to the amulet.
Mm-hmm.
Go to combat.
Beginning of combat.
Yep.
Cryptic command. Tap all creatures opponent's control, and I draw a card.
I'll respond by activating Scar Tribe Scout
Okay.
to put this forest into play.
Okay.
And then these two will become tapped. Alright, in my second main phase, I will pay 2 mana
Mm-hmm.
to sacrifice my last clue
Yep.
and draw a card.
Mm-hmm.
I will pay some mana here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Make 6 green. Play a Primeval Titan.
Yep.
We'll go find 2 lands.
Okay. Alright, so I've been planning the last few turns around being able to play this Teferi and -3 to get rid of this Primeval Titan, and at least buy me a couple turns of relief. But, of course, Austin, as always, in his divine mutiny of powers, which I don't even know if that makes sense, just draws another primetime right off the top, and what do you know? He's got 7 mana, or however much, and he can just play it again, and so now my removal spell doesn't kill his Titan. Well, it does, but he's got 2, so I'm just dead next turn. I honestly don't think I have any outs. This is really bad, and I'm going to need to draw really, really well.
Alright, the 2 lands I'm grabbing with Primeval Titan are Slayer's Stronghold and Boros Garrison. They enter tapped, but they untap due to the Amulet of Vigor, and I'll return a land to my hand, and that's going to be Teleria West.
Mm-hmm.
And then I will pass the turn.
Alright, so we're basically going to need to draw perfectly here. So, give it a little good luck. Oh, that was a bad one. Okay, so I will play an island as land for turn. And do I know the card near? Oh, it's Teleria West.
Yep, I have Teleria West in hand, nothing else.
Hmm. Trying to think if I even have outs.
The second Primeval Titan might have been pretty good there.
Yeah, that one kind of almost, I think, locked it up. On my main phase. I'm going to Archmage's Charm for me to draw 2 cards.
You got it.
And say that you are going to attack me for lethal next turn, probably.
I'd say there's a good chance of that.
I think that's pretty unfortunate. And I don't have any outs, so I die. Good games.
Good game. Hopefully you enjoyed the gameplay, and if you made it this far, I'm sure you somewhat enjoyed our video. And if you want to see more of us in the future, be sure to hit that subscribe button there.
And you can watch more of our videos right here.
Until next time, this is the Mana Vault.
Thank you.